Hello and welcome to Life in the Mind, a neurodivergent podcast by neurodivergent people. I'm Murray Spear, and today my co-host Joy Amy Wigman is not able to make it, so it is just me. Today is Life in the Mind of Tom Jordan. Say hello, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
That was 100% a trap. Just a test to see whether you do it or not.
I appreciate it. I've had it done to me many times. I've never had an opportunity to do it to anyone else, so I very much appreciate it.
Good. And yeah, we are... Who are you? Who are you?
Oh man, that's a good question. I was hoping you were going to tell me, but who am I? Well, I'm Tom Jordan. We've established that bit we've got down. I'm neurodivergent, very much so. I messaged on the way today to say that I was running late, so it was sort of obviously a bit of a neurodivergent stereotype. I work in the arts, I guess. It's quite a wide, so I do lots of different things. I write and I direct. I've worked in theatre, I've worked in film and TV, and I suppose the thing that I'm my kind of main professional identity, already losing track of what I'm saying, is as a fight choreographer and action instructor. I've been a performer in the past as well. Yeah, I'm part of a family of four. My partner Danielle and I, my wife. It's a very odd way to say it. Yeah, my wife Danielle and I, and our two wonderful children, Scarlett and Holly, as well. And I'm a person with many hobbies, many hobbies and interests.
That's a good neurodivergent.
Yeah, well, and I have ADHD. ADHD. I don't know what I was trying to work out. Adhd. We call it adhd. Adhd.
Yeah.
Don't call it that. That's ADHD.
Adhd. Nope, that's going to stop. Okay, cool. Right, brain. So yeah, your relationship with neurodivergence then is that you have ADHD?
It is. I do. Yeah. I have ADHD. And I suppose...
What was your journey to? Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's all right.
Well, what was your journey?
It wasn't going anywhere anyway, so.
No, it's off that thing of like, the brain train has started down a line, but
ran out of steam.
Where's it going? Is it going
ran out of steam. That was not even supposed to be a pun. That was an accidental.
The brain train ran out of steam.
The brain train ran out of steam.
Or your fuel of choice.
Yeah, probably should be something more eco-friendly.
Wind-powered.
Yeah.
Sails.
It ran out of sails.
Oh, wind-powered.
They ran out of fabric
train.
to
Imagine
make the sails.
Train with, like, sails on the top. That would be so impractical for tiles, but at the same time, I really like it feels that this is completely digression.
I mean, I was going to say this is highly representative of my journey with neurodivergence. I mean, it's very. How much detail do you want me to go into? Do you want me? I mean, do you want me to go into the?
When did you first realise?
Man, that's a tricky question.
In whatever definition of that you want to choose.
The point at which I realised I probably had ADHD is not very long ago in reality. But I suppose, it depends a lot on how you really defined that. I mean, I was a bit of a weird kid. Which is, I think, feeling like that's the experience of quite a lot of people. I sort of felt, I felt a lot of the time, I think, like I didn't quite fit in or didn't feel like I thought in the right way, if that makes sense. There were things that didn't make sense, like I did quite well at school, at primary school, but I was also, like if we had to copy something down, that fun task. If there was something on the board and we had to copy it down, everybody else would have finished like an hour ago, and I was only a quarter of the way through. So little bits and pieces of things like that when I was a kid. There were probably more clues as well. I think I was in I remember what school how school is structured. And about year 4, I think somebody mentioned maybe it was worth looking into something. And then there was a bit of that journey again in secondary school. But in truth, I don't think I really... Okay, so I was diagnosed with dyspraxia at 20.
I didn't know you were dyspraxic.
Well, yeah. And I think I've had it... So the things that I'm officially diagnosed with, at 20 is dyspraxia, and at some time in the last 3 or 4 years, I turned 40 in a couple of months, I was diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
Not because I related to it on TikTok, actually because we were sort of discovering stuff in relation to our children and read through a list about ADHD.
Yeah.
And Danielle and I sort of did an almost comic kind of turning and looking at each other, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit like, suddenly felt a bit like I was a stock character from something, and I was like, this is the breakdown of that, because literally absolutely everything on that list represented it. But in all honesty, I wish I could say it was something more overwhelmingly positive. I like
that's one of the things we're really passionate about, is going against a bit of that toxic positivity that can be out there. Everybody going like, superpower, it's amazing, but it allows me to do all these things. It's like, but there's also the side of it.
Like I was always very, very creative. And creative, like outside of, the way I thought and stuff was, I mean, it sort of seems a bit like a cliche to say outside the box, but for the sake of brevity, like outside the box, I had different viewpoints on stuff, and there were lots of things that I was able to do very instinctively, lots of things I couldn't do very instinctively. But I think when I was younger, I, partly myself, but partly sort of the world I lived in, put myself into lots of boxes. You can't do this thing, you can do this thing, you can't do this thing, lots of it. So in truth, the experience from really my association with it growing up was pretty awful. Like, it just was something that there were definitely points, particularly as an adult, well, as a teenager as well, where I was just like, maybe I'm just a really bad, like I just got no willpower. I'm just a really bad person. Like, I have quite an old impulsive type of ADHD, but combined type, and whatever that means. But I do know what it means. So the
inattentive and the hyperactive.
The whole shebang. Yeah, the whole shebang. But the whole thing. all just in case I'm looking back going, is shebang a problematic word? I don't know the etymology of that. The whole thing. But in truth, I didn't know what it was until I was, and anything else had been kind of either informal or just like a passing comment. Like, I'm now at a point where I've had, between kind of various, psychologists and therapists and things like that, I've had it suggested that there's about 7 or 8 different things going on. But most of them are just not, for me personally, in terms of my journey, I'm happy to know about them and associate and understand a bit about what that might be and the things that I relate to. But in truth, like, they're not things that I feel it's worth me like jumping on a waiting list for. There's lots of people who are on waiting lists. I don't feel like I need to have this thing.
Well, like you say, it's one of those things where there's so many people on the waiting list and so many things that we could get officially diagnosed with. In inverted commas. But sometimes, we very much value on the podcast self-discovery. As a valid thing, as much a valid thing. Is that what? Yeah,
it's not always about diagnosis as such, is it?
And like you say, the recognizing stuff within oneself can be enough, and actually going, okay, I'm now going to give this space for to exist in that way in my life. Like I've recently done it with a mental health thing where and that has actually really, once I gave it the space to exist in that paradigm for myself, it's allowed me to actually manage it and stuff, and just kind of go, okay, cool, that now, which is,
I think there's lots of things that I feel like I'm happy to go, yes, I've got that, that's part of my little neurodivergent umbrella. That thing's definitely going on. That thing's definitely going on. the dyspraxia diagnosis I had, but it never felt like it sort of really necessarily not fit, but it didn't feel like it explained everything. It felt like a bit of it was a sort of thing that after I just kind
weird
of
add-on.
You sort of forgot, like a bit of an add-on.
Yeah.
It's something that eventually I kind of half forgot about. It just didn't seem to have enough significance in my life overall and didn't seem to answer a lot. But then the ADHD one, I think, became really important to me in terms of diagnosis, because I felt like a lot of it was about, do I want to use the word validation? It's none of it's as extreme as that, validation or vindication. Like I felt really at odds with myself. I felt really bad about myself, really, really bad about myself, and it had a significant impact. A lot of the impact really, I mean, the way my ADHD works does have a massive impact on my life and on the lives of the people around me. But in terms of the mental health side of it, it was the guilt. It was the guilt and the stress and the kind of trauma of...
Suddenly it gives you a reason to do something. Why you work
and I
this,
certainly,
which allows you to forgive things.
I think taking responsibility to things is really important. I can see how easy it might be for me to just go, I can't help that. It's because of this. I can't help that. I understand the impact that it has on the lives of the people around me, but it was eventually a beneficial thing to have discovered that it happened because of these reasons. So that's the thing I'm fighting. That's the thing I'm fighting against or managing, or sometimes, or like I say, I mean, like I work in the creative industry. It's a really important part of it. I probably wouldn't work in the way that I work if it wasn't there. So I definitely, I'm not sure. I'm always wary of stuff like this because I don't want to take other people's coping mechanisms away from them. I don't feel, for me personally, like I associate it as being a superpower. It's kind of like it's like a dark pact with some kind of, like I get loads of creativity, like I get loads of ideas, and a lot of them I can implement, but the downside of it is has been pretty traumatic.
The ideas never stop.
Well, sometimes
it's so many other things.
There's so many other traits that actually are real.
This cells
struggle
all of it to get the power.
Exactly. There's a kind of, it's like there's something being sacrificed underneath it to gain that, I suppose.
Because my next question was going to be, how did that change your relationship with yourself? But that's kind of what we just covered in that. And it's such a, I think it's so common to have that thing within us of, we can recognise when we feel wrong. When we feel like we're out of place slightly, where we are the outsider or something like that. And from a really young age, we recognise it. And it's so easy to recognise that difference within oneself as something that's wrong.
I think one of the things that when I was diagnosed, the psychiatrist that I went through the process with told me to expect it to take at least 6 months to come to terms with the diagnosis. That even though I was already very aware of this stuff, that actually sitting down and going, like I've been diagnosed with this, and then looking back through your life and going, oh, that was because of that. And actually, I wish I'd managed that in a different way. Some instances of going, actually, I got really...
You did really well because of? Or?
Well, some things that I gained from it, but also some moments, think about school and stuff in particular, actually, looking back and actually, I got quite a hard time over that thing because it was assumed that it was something I didn't want to do. Absolutely. But actually, I had there was a lot of strain. There was a lot of exhaustion. And certainly by late 20s, I was starting to struggle with chronic fatigue and chronic pain. And it's something that I've got a handle on now to some extent. But it is, a lot of it is associated with tension and stress and stuff. And really that's sort of, it's those things that kind of, I suppose, are the real downside. I mean, that said, I've had, there's been lots of my parts of my life that have been fantastic in terms of...
it's the nuance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's life is a nuanced mix of good and bad, and it's all just... It's kind of almost loads of shades of grey, but not in a monotonous way, and just kind of because it's not just black and white.
Yeah.
It is just this beautiful silver, if you want to do it in a shiny way to make it sound less morose. Yeah,
it's really easy to look at something like ADHD, for example, as being... either this really, really negative, destructive thing, or this really kind of and this is a bit of a newer kind of, this really colourful kind of exciting, quirky kind of thing, and it's both of those things.
Yeah.
But that means that sometimes it's great, and like I can be really creative and be dropped into stuff, and I
think in expansive
that's
way,
sort of how my work
ideas
happens. I suddenly find myself in this situation. We've got to create this thing or find a different way about this. And I think as a teacher, as an instructor, I can be quite empathic because I understand that not everybody is going to work in the same way. I write and I, as I said, direct and I need to have lots of ideas that I can just draw out of nowhere. But
and actually, because I do know Tom. Outside of this world,
you do,
as in
he
real
knows
life,
yeah.
And I would say that you are a very empathetic person as well.
Oh, thanks,
you always
pal.
have been someone who has it, and for me, with my neurodivergence, I'd say that is something that has always felt like it is part of. It's that fundamental brain wiring thing, and the empathy is a really big part of that sensitivity and being able to pick up on other people's emotions and you said, hold that space and be able to understand and come at it from different directions.
I think what's difficult sometimes then is because, particularly like if it's a problematic part of ADHD, like you sort of understand, like you sort of feel the upset. Like I understand the upset. Like if it's something that's not in my world and I'm having to deal with something that requires skills that I don't have, like I can see the problem that it's causing. That gets really overwhelming because I can't. It's almost being a bit almost like being in a scene in a film where you're trapped on the outside of. You can see it through like some really, I'm going to get carried away now, but you can see it through like some impenetrable glass and you can see it happening, but you can't get through it.
No.
But actually, in this instance, you're also causing it. Like you're also the person that is causing the problem. And that sucks. That's not cool. But
no,
it's not so much fun.
No, it makes complete sense. Did you have a moment where you kind of, after your discovery of it, kind of come out to people as it? Or did you reveal it over time? Did you have this moment of like, hi everyone, I'm ADHD, and that's these things for me? Did you do it more individually, different people, different ways, the nuanced kind of way, or whatever? There's so many different ways of processing it and introducing it into your day-to-day life as a late diagnosed person or late discovered.
I think
makes sense.
I think there were definitely. I enjoyed it though. I think there were definitely elements of that. I think some of it was really positive. Some of it was because I was able to relate to people, and actually because there were some instances where I'm in quite a significant position of status in some of the rooms that I'm in, and so it gave me the opportunity from time to time to be like, actually, you're not going to be penalised in this room for having ADHD. Actually, the person who's teaching or the person who's directing or the person who is like, I also have ADHD, so it's cool. Like you don't need to stand still or it's absolutely, you're not going to get like, I'm not going to think you're being disrespectful for being like that. There were some instances in which there were some difficult discussions because there were some instances where I was going, well, this has actually been a really hard, so I was angry as such, but like I think there is a period of, it's adjustment. You're sort of
the grief.
It's the grief, isn't it?
The stages of grief.
And then there were, and some of it was just practical, just being like, oh, this is, there was a degree of some of the people that I, work with, or just being like, oh, by the way, this thing, actually, I'm understanding more about this at the moment, so I can sort of now say, please don't. I'm not being disrespectful if I haven't got back to you about this and stuff. I'm sort of being a little bit. I'm being careful here, I suppose, because it was a complicated process. Some people it was quite a joyful, like, oh, I've got this going on. This is really good to know. Sometimes it was quite tricky conversations because there were a lot of complicated feelings with it. I suppose. I'm not going to go into like the deep nuances of that, but also I want if anybody's listening who kind of relates to it, like it was a really complicated process. There wasn't really, I think at any point of it there's been, and I think sort of people who know me sort of associate me with like I can't give a straightforward answer. Like you want yes or no, you've come to the wrong place. Like I can only give a deep, winding, complicated, contextual answer based on
which is the
various
best
different.
Ones. You get the full understanding.
Oh, it's the only kind of
on,
answer.
It's how you have good communication because you know exactly what's being the person understands the question.
Yeah.
If the person understands the question you're asking, and then the fullness of their answer. So you actually then cut out a load of questions, I think.
I mean, it's my
better.
preferred way to communicate. I'm aware of for some people, they find it a bit of a pain, but...
but
you asked me if you turn to me and you're like, "Oh, it's nice weather." What do we mean by contextually speaking? Like you're going to get a discussion about how
it's not rained for far too long. So I think actually because it's really sunny, it's not nice today because it needs rain.
Well, actually,
does that mean that
we've got really dismal weather? I think it's really important for us. I like dismal weather because I think that's where it's where characters like Sherlock Holmes and Macbeth come from. You're going to get an answer like that for about how the sort of tumultuous kind of grey, overcast weather in the UK has inspired so many different kind of atmospheric. But like that's what you're going to get. Or you're going to get an awkward kind of it rained today.
Yeah, like the kind of fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
the British
yes.
fine,
Yeah.
It's not really any answer. It's like a
yes. Yes. So don't want to. It would be lovely if we had some other weather.
Weather.
Some sunny
weather.
I'm not really good with small talk.
No, I hate it.
But it does mean those sort of instances. What you often get from me, and I suppose this is important to be. Is it important to be? I'm sharing it regardless.
It's for you.
Like I can be in a room where we need to have a big kind of practical, positive, like developmental discussion about something we're working on, or a really engaged discussion about a subject matter, which is sometimes not need, but it's sometimes like a, we're all talking about this thing. For example. Yeah, and also like if we're talking about, hobbies maybe, but the other person also genuinely wants to talk about them as well. But I do struggle, I struggle in a lot of other social situations where I don't have a necessary specific role in terms of this is what's happening here, or I know that I'm talking to other people that either understand neurodivergence or maybe are neurodivergent.
It's not clearly defined.
Yeah, and in that instance, actually that kind of social, that difficulty with that social interaction, that's the time that it comes out. Somebody says, or the weather's a bit murky today, and I'm like, I've literally nothing to say. I don't know what's happening here.
Yes. Nod.
Rain. Run away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brolly. Yeah.
But also not with any offence. I just
because that's.
I will then go and spend 48 to 72 hours reconsidering how that interaction went. But
just analysing it.
Yeah, which is fine. That's fine.
It's just one of those things you recognise about your brain. But I think one of the things that comes back to me in this, and it's kind of popped up many times into my head, is the best quote I ever heard about, the best thing anyone ever said to me. I can't remember if it was someone quoting something or whether someone just said something. I can't remember. Something happened at some point in my life. But there was...
Again, I enjoyed that. It's very relatable.
Things, life has happened. The past. When did it happen? The past.
It could be happening now.
It could be happening now. Is the past? What's the present? What's the past? What's the future?
I mean, every one of those things that you said is in the past by the time you finish saying it. So
yeah, existential dread.
It's both in the past and the present at the same time.
But yes, because I was going to go off and I've just stopped my brain self.
I think in the past,
that philosophy. And it was that neurodivergence is only a disability when it exists in a world that doesn't work for it.
Yeah.
And it's so true in so many different ways, because there are places where we are celebrated, we can be celebrated, and we can be the best people for the job.
Yeah.
Because of the way we think, because of the way we are, because of the way our brains are wired.
Yeah.
We can offer so much more than someone who isn't wired in that way can. And when we find the barriers, it's when we're in those spaces that can't facilitate that, can't hold that. And I think that's probably pertains to a lot of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes it's about good or bad fit, isn't it? There's lots of instances where I'm like, I don't know, it's really the work that I do is really appreciated. I think it seems to be really appreciated and seems to be really valued. And then there are other instances where I just sort of don't function.
Yeah.
And
it kind of feels like more you're getting in the way, or you have to force.
Yeah.
Force yourself out that square peg, triangle hole.
Yeah, I try and find
bigger hole.
a bit of balance. You know, it's
Sorry,
we went down started going down a hole there. So you try and find a degree of balance, but it's tricky sometimes because I think a lot of what is, I suppose, seen as the kind of disability side. This is a bit of a jaded view. It's inconvenient.
Yeah.
It's inconvenient. Like sometimes I feel like I'm just inconvenient.
Yeah.
And I can't fit into this box. I can't do all this stuff which is how a lot of the practical world works.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of it can be worked around with little effort.
Yeah.
There can be spaces that can be built from the ground up where that is then not a problem. And we can carry ourselves along. I think we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Really tempted to start doing bad beatboxing and get you to rap.
That's scat. Why was that scat?
That was a different thing.
It was a different thing. I'm in that mode today. But yeah, I think that's quite a good place to end it. Thank you for coming.
Very welcome.
And
thanks for having me.
And we will be back with a topic discussion. That was interesting. A topic discussion session with you.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, great.
Bye,
everyone.
Okay, folks, that's it for this episode. Follow us on Instagram at life.inthemind. Our other socials are linked in the bio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Bye.